In this lesson, we will learn how to take a cutting from a plant. This plant propagation technique allows you to create a new plant using part of an existing plant. In this example, we will take cuttings from rose, sage, and rosemary bushes. To take a cutting, you will need a pruning shear, a knife or specialist pruning knife, surgical spirit, a clean cloth, terracotta pots, a watering can with a spray nozzle, a substrate made up of a mixture of compost and sand in equal parts. For most perennials, the best method for taking a cutting is around the end of the summer, when the young branches that have grown that year lignify. We also speak of ripened shoots. These are easily recognized by the brown marks that develop on the green areas and by their rigid feel. Find out more about the particular plant you're working with before you start. Step 1. Disinfect the equipment that will be in contact with the main plant and the cutting. This will prevent the spread of diseases. Step 2. Identify a healthy, vigorous plant that you would like to take a cutting from. This is called the mother plant. Step 3. Choose a healthy branch on this plant. The cutting must have at least 3 bisections or branch points. For the rose, it is better to use a branch that has already had a flower during the season. Cut the branch under a bisection at an appropriate angle of 45 degrees. We will now prepare the cutting. Step 1. Begin by cutting off the head of the branch. Step 2. Remove all leaves on the bottom part of the cutting. This is the part that will be placed in the earth. Be careful not to damage the bisection when you remove the leaves along the top part of the cutting. It is here that branches will grow later. Leave 3 or 4 leaves at the top of the branch to allow the plant to carry out photosynthesis. Step 3. If the cutting is too long, trim it. Remove any thorns if necessary. Step 4. Make an incision along the bottom third of the plant. And remove its epidermis. This will encourage roots to develop along the incision. Note that this stage is not necessary on small cuttings such as these rosemary cuttings. Step 5. Rub the stub with charcoal. This will reduce the risk of fungal attacks and encourage healing. Step 6. Plant the cutting in a pot containing the substrate made up of compost and sand. Press it down lightly to ensure that the cutting is in contact with the substrate. Step 7. Place the pots in a warm place, sheltered from the wind, with indirect exposure to sunlight, in a seedling greenhouse or near a window. Step 8. Young cuttings don't have roots, so it is important to keep the soil moist. Water once a day for several weeks. The first roots will appear between 3 and 4 weeks after taking the cutting. Be sure to monitor the plants during the following months. Remember that they are still fragile and need regular watering. When the plant seems strong enough and the first shoots appear, repot them in a larger pot if necessary. Mix 1/3 sand, 1/3 compost and 1/3 garden soil. This will help their development. Take them outside when there is no longer a risk of frost and bring them indoors during the winter. When the plants have developed enough, you can replant them into the earth.